Hit him with that flavor.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got... Hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. Also, thanks to those of you tuned in on the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur TV show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe or unsubscribe. But however, if you do subscribe, feel free to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur. You can also follow me on TikTok at Dr. A. Shakur. And you can find me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Don't forget to go over to the website, QueenAhmadiyyahShakur.com, and be sure to subscribe so that you're added to my email list. And you can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan pages on Instagram and Twitter. All right, so with that all being said, let's get into it. Terry Hinton, Hundia, Juju. All right, Jag the Diva, Miss Evie, True Justice, Nubian Cutie, Jawara's in the house, okay? G from the land, Queen Sam, daughter of Yah Clothing Purple. All right, I see you. Queenie Moni Huey, Kenyetta's in the house, Cherokee Descendant Dale. All right, so let's get ready to get black into it. I see you, Lakiva, Jeff, ATL, Lillian, Emperor Rex. All right, Claudette. Ma'at Tahuti's in the house. What's up, Dr. LaShawn Clark? You know I love me some you. All right, Buckhorse DC, Brand Slayer. Tina's in the house. Christopher. Let's get ready to get black into it. Hey, Doris, shout out to the moderators in the house putting in work. Okay? With that all being said, hey, Vina and Danielle. With that all being said, let's get into it. This live is going to be kind of brief, beloveds, because I have another engagement this morning. All right? So let's get into it. I apologize for being so late. There's no excuse for my nefariousness. Hey, Obsidian Blaze. All right, so let's talk about this poor child who was abducted by a FedEx driver. Now, this happened a couple of days ago, and I actually meant to report on this story when I first saw it, but I have so many stories coming in. Sometimes I skip over some of them. So let's talk about it. This 7-year-old beautiful little girl from Texas was abducted by the FedEx driver. Isn't that crazy? Now, of course, he has since He has since come out and admitted his guilt. Hold on, I'm looking for the report with the FBI speaking. Hold on just a moment. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share, subscribe to the channels if you haven't done so already. Thank you in advance. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this. I'm going to cue this video real quick. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Same values that guided me to the pulpit are what inspire me today. Even in these tough times, I still believe that there's far more we share in common than what divides us. That's why I'll work with anyone if it means helping Georgia. And that's what I plan to keep doing. I'm Raphael Warnock, and I humbly ask for your vote. That's why I approve this message.
A Texas community is left shattered. The city of Paradise, about 40 miles northwest of Fort Worth, is grappling with the tragic ending of their search for a missing 7-year-old girl. Last Wednesday, Athena Strand disappeared from the driveway of her family home, which prompted a massive hunt with nearly 200 volunteers alongside local law enforcement. Her body was found 2 days later after authorities received a tip. Investigators say a FedEx driver was making a delivery at the time of the 7-year-old's disappearance. The suspect is 31-year-old FedEx contract driver Tanner Lynn Horner, now behind bars and charged with capital murder and aggravated kidnapping.
We do have a confession. It's one of the toughest investigations that I've been involved in because it's a child.
Aiken did not indicate a possible motive and said Horner did not know the family or the child. In a statement, FedEx said, "Words cannot describe our shock and sorrow surrounding this tragic event." In a separate statement to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, FedEx Ground said the company contracts with independent businesses to help its delivery services, and the employees of those companies are subject to a criminal background check. Athena's mother, Maitland Presley Gandy, issued a tribute to her daughter on Facebook, writing, "My princess was taken from me by a sick, cruel monster for absolutely no reason. Athena is innocent, beautiful, kind, intelligent, and just the brightest, happiest soul you could ever meet."
Yeah, so that's very, very sad to hear. Now, the little girl's grandfather came out and said that he forgives the man, even though he'd like to have an hour locked in a room with him. I wouldn't be forgiving him. That's just me, though.
Unity that lives in community is the solution to many of this country's.
Hold on. Let me figure out why this isn't playing right. Let me try this again. Okay, here we go.
Sell it.
To help us get going, we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account. It's more than a bank.
What is going on? Video is playing within picture. I don't know what that's all about. Hold on. I wanted you all to hear what this FBI said about this. And also, this report was a little bit more detailed. Let me see if it's going to play now. Okay, it looks like it's playing now. So let's try it one more time. Oh, they're definitely going to get him in prison. You already know.
It is a nightmare for parents, Arthel. A FedEx driver pulls up to your house, drops off a package, but instead allegedly kidnaps and kills your child. The FBI last month warning that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused an increase in child abductions because of more personal interactions between delivery people, rideshare drivers, and others with their children. You know, in Michigan in July, police investigated a possible kidnapping attempt there. Neighbors jumped into their cars and actually blocked an Amazon driver's truck from leaving after reports then involving a young girl. So how widespread is this? Jonathan Gilliam, former FBI special agent, first with us now. Jonathan, first, apparently this was solved so quickly. FedEx trucks have GPS. Some of them have cameras. There may have been a Ring doorbell. They talk about digital evidence besides the confession. What do we know, and how do you think they were able to get to the suspect so fast?
Well, I think the combination of all those things that you just said there, Eric, are how they got this individual. When you look at the digital evidence that's out there and you combine all these different things, it is very easy to track somebody if you have a combination of a visual identification of what vehicle was, if they have a tracking device on that truck, and if the individual who kidnapped the girl has a cell phone on her. I'm not sure if the 7-year-old had one on her, but the phone companies, in cooperation with law enforcement, especially in an emergency circumstance, they have the ability to track a phone. So, and it's pretty easy to figure out where it was. It's just a click of a button. It just has to have legal approval. So I think in this case, what you saw, and this is what I do like to see in law enforcement, is when law enforcement works fluidly, you get to the bottom of things very quickly. But also, Sean, there were about 200 to 300, I don't know the exact number, of volunteers that were out searching. So you have a community that came together with law enforcement. Law enforcement worked fluidly and quickly through this digital evidence to catch this individual. And then the interrogators that worked with him to interview him were able to get the information and a confession out of him in a very short time. I'm telling you, when we look at all these different things that law enforcement may or may not do wrong, right here is a perfect example of what they do right, and when the community comes together with them. So in this tragedy, that's one thing we can look at, that this is a community where that worked.
Absolutely. Our hats off to the law enforcement, and of course the people in the neighborhood are horrified when they hear that little Athena down the block, is suddenly missing. She comes home from school, is with her stepmother. Her stepmother's making dinner, and she at some point perhaps went outside of the front yard where she had an interaction with this FedEx driver. Do we know, any information about that, details on that, and why this time went by before the stepmother realized that the little girl was gone?
I saw one report, and I didn't see it again, that they had a little bit of an argument, her and the 7-year-old, and so she left out of the house. Now, that happens every day, all day, around the country and the world, and unfortunately, this predator was outside waiting. I would suspect, when they look into this, one of two things probably happened, that the FedEx driver drove by and saw her and took a target of opportunity, or he was there earlier or around that area before and picked up on this young girl. So there's a possibility that occurred. I think we've seen that in the past with these types of predators. And interestingly enough, when I was looking at the FedEx page a minute ago about what it takes to become a contractor there, there are some things that some hoops they have to jump through. But one of the things that surprised me is that if you have a felony or any other record, or you're on probation or have been on parole, they're okay with that as long as it's been a year since those things passed. Now, that's very interesting to me because, in this country, if you've done something and you're a felon, you probably have a record of doing things. And as we see with this alleged report from this other individual, this person had a history potentially of, and most likely, of doing these violent things.
Yeah, so that's a woman who says, a woman who claims that he raped her when she was 16 years old. We don't know the disposition of that case. Let me, though, finally, Jonathan, get to some stats in terms of the number of missing children, those parents now watching who could be worried. There's the FBI and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 330,000 missing children last year. There were 395 attempted abductions. Only 142, I say only, when you compare it to the 330,000. But there it is right there, folks. 142 non-family abductions, allegedly like this. And here's what the Missing Kids of California say. That teach the kids, here's a good slogan. If asked to go and your parents don't know, shout no. If we have that up on the screen, we can show it. There it is. If asked to go and your parents don't know, shout no, run and tell someone. Also tells parents to teach children age 7, and Athena was 7, to resist, make noise, make a scene if someone tries to get them to go someplace. And they also say, in terms of dealing with young children, that if you're 7 to 10, you need close supervision. You need some indirect supervision and monitoring, like going back and forth from school. Ensure your child understands that they should not approach a car even if the person driving calls them over. That's always been the rule. Don't approach strangers. Stranger danger. And so tragically, it may have failed so sadly in this case. And it's a warning, finally, Jonathan, with the FBI saying these type of cases are up because of the pandemic.
Right. I'll tell you something, Sean or Eric, is that when I was in the FBI and I was working at a parade, I got a girl who was lost. She was about 10 years old, maybe a little younger. And the terror in that girl's eyes is something that has still stuck with me to this day. Luckily, we found her parents very quickly, and all the things were resolved. But I'm here to tell you that once that occurs, if there's not somebody there responsible, they could be gone forever. So it really does take a responsible parent and a child that you have shown that they are also in control of their safety to an extent. So I think this is very important for people to realize.
It is, and we know how quickly it can happen. They can be there 1 second, and you turn around, they're not there.
Gone.
Sadly.
Yes.
Jonathan, thank you so much, and thank you for your service to our country, of course.
Okay, so with that all being said, what I believe parents need to be doing is first and foremost teaching your children self-defense. You see, adults will take self-defense for themselves, specifically adult women, but parents don't often think about teaching their children self-defense, and that's what you absolutely should do. Okay, you should teach your children self-defense, put them in karate classes and things like that, but also there are some things that you can teach them just at home. For example, if you have elementary school children specifically, you should teach them that if someone ever tries to grab them and, take them off somewhere, abduct them or whatever, they need to fall down on the ground. Pay attention. This could save a life. They need to fall down on the ground, take their feet and lock them around one of the person's legs, and then take their hands and then lock their arms around the person's other leg. Pretty hard to walk. All right? And tell them to hold on as tight as they can. That person's not going to be able to walk with them in that position. That'll buy them some time. They can scream and yell, and hopefully by then someone will see them. If you all can picture that, okay? There's probably some videos on YouTube somewhere where you can find somebody doing just that, teaching kids to do that. Okay, if they just fall down on the ground and put their feet around, lock their feet like in the scissors, lock their feet around one of the person's ankles, and then take their hands and lock their arms around the other ankle. Where's that person going anytime soon? So I'm just saying. So with that all being said, and Jawara says, plus it teaches them discipline. Yes, martial arts does teach children discipline. Okay, and that'll help them defend their little selves at the end of the day, honey. So with that all being said, you have to also talk to your children about, stranger danger, like he said, and also let them know that strangers don't just look scary. Strangers can look like people they see every day, people that they laugh and talk with, teachers at school or whatever. Because there was a study that was shown where they asked children, thank you, beloved, daughter of Y'all Clothing Purple said, great tip, queen, thank you. There was a study they did where they asked children, what did a stranger look like? And most of the children pictured some man with a beard. Okay, that's their idea of a stranger. But sometimes a stranger can look like somebody who looks nice and sweet. Okay, and also you need to tell your children to have passwords, code words. When my kids were in school, I would always tell them a password, something they could easily remember. The password was actually pineapple. So that if someone would come to the school other than me and their father and say that they're here to pick them up, they have to know that password. Otherwise, they weren't going. Because I actually remember a story from years ago where a father was friends with this guy and this woman, and they actually went to pick up his 12-year-old son from the house because they knew the father was at work, and they lied and told him that the father sent them to pick him up and there was an emergency. And the child didn't know any better because, of course, he recognizes them. He knows these are friends of his father's. So you have to do stuff like that. You have to be thinking ahead, honey, because I'm going to tell you something. Nefarious people, all they do is sit around and plot all day long, twiddling their thumbs, thinking of how to get over on somebody or to do something nefarious. Okay, so let's talk about that little bad boy, the little 10-year-old who shot his mother over the VR headset. Okay, let me put his picture back up, because now they're saying that he supposedly had told family members before that he heard voices in his head. And I told a couple of you, a couple of my friends that I know, I actually told them that that child likely had some demons or something. And that's what it sounds like. That's him right there. And so let me pull this up real quick. Okay, so here's what they say. Boy who allegedly shot mom for refusing to buy a VR headset spoke of little girls inside his head, according to his grandmother. So the unnamed boy from Milwaukee has been charged with first-degree reckless homicide after being accused of shooting and killing his 44-year-old mother, Kiana Mann. The criminal report states that when the child was first interviewed by police, he said that he was twirling a gun around his finger when it accidentally went off. Now, he then woke up his 26-year-old sister, who then called 911 after finding her mother dead. However, his aunt told detectives that he later admitted to her that he was actually aiming the gun at his mother and then apologized for killing her. Oh, so sad. Now, in a second police interview, the boy allegedly told investigators that he had retrieved the gun from his mother's bedroom because he was angry at her for waking him up early and then for not letting him buy a VR headset on Amazon. Now, this is clearly demonic behavior, okay? That was easy for me to see. The complaint adds that the boy's sister said that he has had rage issues all of his life and 5 different imaginary people that talk to him. His grandmother, Laretha Mann, echoed this in an interview with the Daily Beast, explaining that he's always said that there have been voices that he would hear. This is all so crazy. All so crazy. Now, I think I would have taken him to get some type of psychiatric evaluation. She said there's 2 little girls inside his head telling him things to do. And he has an imaginary friend that will tell him to do really bad things. These are definitely demons. Now, the boy, who cannot be named due to his age, has had a long-running difficulty with sleeping. That's another sign of demonic behavior, beloveds. Demons will keep you awake at night. Now, you all may remember that I told you about a month or so ago that when I was going in on Bussy Reek, that demons were keeping me up for like 3 nights. And I told you all that I saw this older white woman with blonde hair sitting in the corner every time I had these dreams. Right? You all remember I told you that. And I said that when Taharka started exposing him and he showed Bussy Reek's mother-in-law, that's absolutely who that woman was. And she was over there in Haiti. What she was trying to do was voodoo, honey, but it doesn't work on the queen. So she could sit down somewhere. But I do remember telling you all that, because demons will try to deprive you of sleep, because that takes you out of your right frame of mind if they do it long enough. Pay attention. Okay, so anyway, said that he's had long-running difficulty with sleeping. He said that his thoughts and everything starts generating around 5 or 6 in the morning, sometimes 4 o'clock. She said her grandson also struggled at school, where he was bullied a lot, and that 2 years ago, he suffered from a concussion after falling off of a swing and hitting the back of his head. And so that just meshed with a mental illness, and it just kind of spiraled and made it even worse. It was bad. Sometimes he would have these episodes where he was just kind of mean to his mother. The criminal complaint says a therapist previously gave the boy a concerning diagnosis and said that his mother had placed cameras, and after that, his mother had placed cameras inside the home to monitor his behavior. However, 2 weeks before the killing, someone unplugged those cameras. It was likely him. Now, after being charged with first-degree reckless homicide, the boy faces a maximum of 60 years in prison if convicted. You see, they're charging him as an adult. He will appear in court for a status hearing on December the 7th. A GoFundMe page has been set up for Kiana's funeral, with a family member saying in the description that the mother of 4 was cherished and beloved by all who knew her. She worked in behavioral health services because she wanted to ensure that all individuals had equal access to health services. She had a love for God that shined so brightly, it superseded any pain that she may have experienced. She was compassionate, loving, and kind. Whether you needed a friend with a listening ear, advice on how to cook, or simply just a few laughs, she was one call away. She gave so much to this world and will be sorely missed. In her honor and the spirit of giving, we're seeking help for arrangements so that we may prepare her final wishes. This is all so sad. And like I told you all the other day, this little boy didn't have any type of empathy or sympathy. After he did this to his mother, he took her debit card and went online and ordered that VR headset that he wanted. And then a couple of days later, when he was at the grandmother's house, I believe, he asked them, or the grandmother was crying, and he apologized to her and said he was sorry for killing his mother. And then the next thing he said was, did my Amazon package arrive yet? So he really didn't have any remorse. Clearly demonic behavior. And so anyway, with that all being said, you have to be careful of what these children are getting into. Because I'm going to say this. I don't know for a fact, but likely he could have gotten these demons, which I believe is what he has. He could have gotten these demons attached to him from playing those nefarious video games. That's what he could have done. That's what could have happened. Jawara said probably played Call of Duty endlessly. It's no telling. All this stuff is so nefarious. All so nefarious. Let me tell you something. Years ago, I think he needs to be in a mental institution, says Danielle. He and his demons need care, says Miss Coco. Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you something. Years ago, I used to play that game, Mortal Kombat. I used to love that game. But then when a newer version came out, it was just so demonic. I actually spent $60 on that crap, and I ended up throwing it away. I actually had bought it for one of my sons, but I was playing it too. And when I saw how demonic it all was, and there was one of the games, one of the characters, I want to say it was Sub-Zero or Scorpion, but when you were playing, you would fall down into this pit. It looked like you were literally in hell or something like that. It was all so nefarious. I actually threw it away. Sure did. American Indian Michimi says desensitizing. Yes, absolutely. Also nefarious. Also nefarious. Now, let's talk about these slave auctions. Student slave auctions suggest that white supremacy in U.S. schools is alive and well. Mock slave auctions are not rare occurrences. Well, I'm sure you all know that, because how many of these stories have I reported to you? But they want to do away with critical race theory. For what? These kids clearly know how to be little racist. In an otherwise normal football season, 2 California high schools abruptly canceled the remainder of their games for the same reason. Players on both teams participated in troublesome acts of racism. In October of 2022, Amador High School in Sutter Creek ended the season after school officials learned that several players joined a Snapchat called Kill the Blacks. That's what it was called. Now, in nearby Yuba City, members of the River Valley High School football team produced and filmed a modern-day slave auction. Now, that's the one I reported on. That's one of them, because I remember the name of the school. In the film, 3 teammates, all young black men, were offered for sale. You all remember that? Now, I didn't show the video because the boys were in their underwear. They say they needed another person to be in the video, and being the only black person left in the locker room, they all turned to me. That's what one of the black students said. I made it clear that I didn't want to do it and tried to leave, but I wasn't able to. Clad in his underwear and with their eyes downcast, the 3 were paraded through the locker room and put on an auction block. I mean, they know how this all goes. They know every little detail of this. That's what I want you to pay attention to. So if they don't want to teach them about the history of slavery, Jim Crow, and all the nefarious things their ancestors have done and continue to do, if they don't want to teach them about that in school, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because they're teaching this to them at home. So why are they sitting there trying to pass legislation so that they don't learn this in school? They teach them the same thing at home. Now, they go on to say they were put on an auction block. At least one of the black teens had a belt representing a noose looped around his neck. Their white and Latin teammates feverishly bid on them. Even through the lens of the video camera, the mock enslavers' excitement and frenzy was palpable. So they were just excited as their ancestors used to be when they did this. Remember how we've seen the photos of them standing around, gawking, laughing, snapping pictures and all that? Well, these little devils were doing the same thing. They say many are upset with the black youth for participating in their own degradation. I understand that. But as I was online in my recent book, Bodies Out of Place, Theorizing Anti-Blackness in the U.S. Society, I also understand that public degradation ceremonies are meant to debase and dissuade blacks from walking in their full humanity as full citizens. Now they say less than 2% of the students at River Valley High, 31 out of the total 1,800, identify as black. These numbers render black students both extremely visible and invisible at the same time. They say in the interview, the slave auction operated as a perverse public performance used not only to reinforce the black students' inferior status that was already in their own minds, but also to signal the same to those that were watching. A Boston University teaching guide defines the hidden curriculum as an amorphous collection of implicit cultural messages of dominant culture. These unwritten rules reinforce as often unspoken social order in which people of color are subordinate. The hidden curriculum refers not only to the unwritten rules, but also unspoken expectations that serve as unofficial norms, behaviors, and values. These norms become institutionalized. As sociologists Glenn Bracey II and Wendy Leo Moore, they write saying that although the norms are whites, they are rarely marked as such. Mock slave auctions are not a rare occurrence. In May of 2022, white middle school students at Chatham School District in North Carolina held one by staging the wholesale of their black classmates. One of the parents, Ashley Palmer, posted about it on Facebook. That's another one that I reported on, if you recall. She posted on Facebook that her son had been sold by his classmates, saying that his friend went for $350. Another student was the slave master because he knew how to handle them. And we even had a video of students harmonizing the N-word. Isn't that nice? Since when were children so blatantly racist? When were they not? In this country, at least. So anyway, this is all so crazy. In another incident, students at Newburgh High School in Oregon participated in a year-long virtual slave auction called the Slave Trade that was uncovered by their parents in 2021. I reported on that one as well. Now, on the chat, they targeted black students and used homophobic and racist slurs while joking about how much they would pay for their black classmates. These patterns continued into 2021 when students in Texas created a social media group called Ninja Auction and pretended to auction off their black peers. Not all of the auctions are held on virtual platforms. In 2016, Barrington, Illinois, for instance, they had a mock slave auction, and it was staged at Barrington High School for the students in order to create what they described as school spirit. This was during an event meant to bring students from Chicago and suburbs together. That's their idea of bringing students together. So anyway, it's a lot. I'm not going to read all of this, but you all get the point. At the end of the day, here's the major problem. A lot of these students learn to berate black students and to look down on them, because that's absolutely what they're taught at home, but also that's what they're taught in school by racist teachers. Now, I've shown you all reports and videos of teachers, white teachers, calling black students the N-word, berating them. It was just about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I told you all the story and showed you the footage of the Caucasian male teacher who told the students in his class that white people are superior. You all remember that? This is where all this type of stuff comes from. He literally told them that white people are better than black people. That's what he was saying. Okay? So that's why it's good to homeschool your kids. See, they don't want to teach the truth of history, but, you know, as far as it pertains to black people, they don't want to talk about the dynasties and empires and royalty and all of those things. They want to just, you know, keep it about slavery and being subjugated and all of those things. And they're at home teaching these kids to be absolutely blatantly racist. And when they get caught, they get nothing but slaps on the wrist. That's what they usually end up getting. So it's just all so crazy. You know, at the end of the day, the parents are often to blame, but so are the teachers at these schools. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Okay, I'm trying to make these notifications stop coming through. Okay, so anyway, we are the original people. Right, D. Griffin, absolutely. Why not have a mock slave trade, but use... Well, the thing is, no one should be doing that to anybody. That's all I'm saying. No one should be doing that to anybody. You know, here's the thing. You absolutely know that these children who are doing these things to black children, you absolutely know they're learning this at home, because people are not just born behaving that way. Children are not born being racist. That is a learned behavior. So they're being taught these things, and it's just absolutely deplorable. They're being taught this by their parents or someone in their family, in their families. So anyway, but I'll tell you what, I don't know how they got those teenage black boys, because these are teenagers, not elementary. I don't know how they got them to participate in it. If they threatened to gang up on them or whatever, but honey, let me tell you something. When my sons were in school, there's no way you could ever have gotten them to do anything so foolish, okay? You couldn't have gotten me to do it. That's what you couldn't have gotten me to do. I don't know who's raising these kids. That's what I have to ask, because a lot of these kids just are allowing themselves to be bullied. I'm just saying, what are people teaching their children these days? Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me cut this off. Okay. Yeah, a lot of these children, you know, it seems like their parents are not teaching them to defend themselves. I mean, like, are we raising a bunch of cream puffs? I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Soft batch. Now, I'm not saying raise your kids to be violent, but you should absolutely raise them to defend themselves, to stand up for themselves. That's just what you're supposed to do. Please. Oh, so crazy. But anyway, let's talk about Will Smith. Let's talk about Will Smith, because Will Smith is in that new movie called The Emancipation. You know, I'm sure you've all seen that very infamous picture of the slave with all the scars on his back. I forget the man's name. I remember seeing that picture since high school. I've always seen it. I always wondered who that man was, who did that to him. Of course, I know it was the owner, but, you know, I just always had thoughts and questions about it. But so now Will Smith is portraying him in a movie called Emancipation. But here's the problem. The producer of the movie went to the premiere, I believe it was, and he brought a photo of Will Smith in the costume and makeup of this character, and he was showing it off. He was showing it off. Whipped Peter. Thank you, Reggie. That's his name. Whipped Peter. Thank you, Hi Kid. Thank both of you. So anyway, so here's what they're saying. Producer of Will Smith's Emancipation issues apology for bringing photo of black trauma to premiere to show off. If you thought Will Smith was the most controversial part of Emancipation, a producer on the film, has got news for you. He brought an infamous photo to the premiere, and now, after a wave of criticism, he has apologized for deciding to go and do so. Now, this is what I want to know. What do you all think about him bringing the picture to the premiere? What do you all think about that? I'm curious. Do you all think he was trying to traumatize Black people, humiliate Black people, or maybe he was just proud of his work? What do y'all think? One's in the chat if you think there's a problem with him showing off that picture. One's in the chat if you think there's a problem with him showing off that picture. Hold on, let me pull this back up real quick. I have questions. Okay, everybody's putting in ones. I know that's right, because what was he thinking? Why would you want to show that off? So here's the apology that he issued. I'm going to put this up on the screen so you all can see it. He offered an apology, but sometimes when you do certain things, you know, it's just, an apology is just not going to suffice. And it's not even going to come off as sincere. Make sure you all can see this. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you guys. Hold on, let me zoom in a little bit. Hate these pop-ups. Okay, here we go. Now it says, I wholeheartedly apologize to everyone I have offended by bringing a photograph of Peter to the Emancipation premiere. What is this? Y'all see how nefarious these pop-ups are? Hold on, honey. Hold on just a moment. Let me pull the letter up by itself because I have another copy of it. Okay, let's try this again. So anyway, he goes on to say, I wholeheartedly apologize to everyone I have offended by bringing a photograph of Peter to the Emancipation premiere. My intent was to honor this remarkable man and to remind the general public that his image not only brought about change in 1863, but still resonates and promotes change today. Honey, how does this promote change? Somebody make it all make sense, because I don't see how that will promote change. I just don't. Sounds like a load of BS to me. I'm just saying. But anyway, let me continue. So he says, after uncovering Peter's origin story with help from diligent historians, I spent the last few years working with the Emancipation creative team in order to bring his story to life so worldwide audiences would have an opportunity to appreciate his heroism. I hope my actions don't distract from the film's message. Peter's story, from the message in Peter's story, and just how much impact he had on the world. Now, throughout the research and development of Emancipation, I discovered photographs of overlooked historically important individuals whose stories also need to be told. One photograph of Martin Delany is on loan to the National Portrait Gallery and currently on exhibit. My plan was always to donate the photographs to the appropriate institution in consultation with the community, and I believe there is no better time to begin the process than now. At the premiere, it sounds like he's trying to make excuses. These photographs, which existed before me, will be around long after I'm gone. They belong to the world. My goal has always been to find the right permanent home and make sure they are accessible to honor their significance. And most importantly, that the individuals depicted in the photographs are remembered and their stories are told with the greatest dignity and respect. Well, here's the thing. I'm not even trying to be funny. But here's the thing. You cannot tell their stories with dignity and respect because their lives didn't have dignity and respect. No one had dignity or respect for slaves. Okay, so you can't tell their story in that manner because it just wasn't possible. It's just not realistic. That's all I'm saying. How do you make a slave have dignity and respect? We all know what happened to the slaves, right? I'm just saying, not trying to be facetious, just being serious. Okay, so here's the thing. You know, when I first saw, here's a picture of him. You see, he brought it in a cute little case and everything. I want y'all to pay attention. This is the producer, and here's the picture right here. I mean, he went through all that to go to a premiere and brought it in a nice little case. Somebody make that make sense. I mean, if you're at the premiere, people are going to watch the movie, right? And so therefore, people are absolutely going to see the character that Will Smith portrayed, and they're going to see, you know, the scars and the makeup and all of that. But here's the picture that he was showing. Now, you have Will Smith. They did a good makeup job, I'll say that much, because it almost looks like the original. Looks like they darkened Will up a bit. There's another picture from the movie. Gee. Judah Queen said that's evil and racist to her. Vita said, sick bastard. Janet said, our enslaved ancestors went through hell. Yes, they absolutely did. Kenyatta said it was a ritual. Dr. Clark said, change to what? The year after slavery ended. FBA, hold on, this chat's going so fast. Hold on, let me put this up on the screen. Change to what? The year after slavery ended, FBA owned half of 1% of the wealth. Today, we still only own half of 1%, and it's 2022. You're absolutely right. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're still lynching black folk. Do y'all not remember all of those black men found swinging from trees in July of 2020? Y'all remember that, right? And numerous times since before and since then. That's all I'm saying. But they won't tell you that it's a lynching. They'll lie and say it was a suicide, like a black person's going to really hang themselves from a tree. Make it all make sense. So they haven't changed anything. Hotep Sahadi said, Will is buck broken already. Well, we know that. And the first person that did it was probably Jada, as far as I'm concerned, beloved. Oh, so nefarious. That apology doesn't mean anything to me. At the end of the day, that was highly inappropriate. It was inappropriate. It was insensitive. And it was just plain stupid. It was also racist. Now, had they been making a movie about the Holocaust and concentration camps or something like that, do y'all really think that man would have brought a picture in there and been so thrilled to show it off? I mean, he was showing it off. When you show something off, that means you're proud of your handiwork, right? He wouldn't have done that. He absolutely wouldn't have done that. He needs to sit down somewhere. Now talk about, I'm sorry for all I offended. No, you're not. Please miss me with it. Shalom, beautiful, beloved, blessings. Thank you, Pincy Lola. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Okay. King Lejeune said they wouldn't dare. Absolutely. Absolutely they would. Okay. Vina said, great point, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Now let's talk about Ice Cube. I want y'all to hear this foolishness. Because y'all know how they do, black folk. Pay attention. Ice Cube says that Warner Brothers, they won't give him his rights to Friday, and he's not buying them. No, he says. I'm not paying for my own stuff. Well, I don't blame him. I wouldn't be paying for my own stuff either. So Ice Cube wants full control of the Friday film franchise, but he says Warner Brothers is standing in his way. Appearing on the most recent episode of Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing podcast, Cube urged the studio to give him the rights to the franchise and rejected the possibility of buying the rights from the studio himself. Cube starred in and wrote 3 Friday movies, all of which were produced and distributed by New Line Cinema. Warner Brothers now owns New Line. So Cube can't move forward on a 4th Friday movie without the studio's blessing. Isn't that something? Because I was so looking forward to the next one, because they had whispers of Chris Tucker playing in it if DC Young Fly would play his son. That's what DC Young Fly said himself. He says, I don't know. Warner Brothers is weird right now. This is what Cube said when he was asked about the fourth Friday movie, which is to be titled Last Friday. I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. We'd love to have it back. I think it's going to be close to time when we get it back. So we'll either wait for that time or we'll keep trying to convince them that they need to let us control the movie. It's my movie, but they have distribution control. Now, when Tyson asked Ice Cube if he would just pay to have the rights back into his control, he responded and said, I ain't putting shite up for it. F no. They need to give it to me, and they're going to make money. I'm not about to pay for my own stuff. That's stupid. They need to do the right thing. Give it to us. You know, let us turn it into more money and make the fans happy. We can do a lot with it. So they said Variety reached out to Warner Brothers for a comment, but they didn't have one. So Cube revealed earlier this year he has written 2 more Friday movies. He said Warner Brothers rejected both scripts. Cube told Tyson that he is currently working outside of Hollywood, out of the Hollywood studio system, due to his decision to not get the Stupid 19 Venom. Cube confirmed in November that his refusal to get the Venom cost him $9 million for a movie role. He said, I turned down a movie because I didn't want to get the mother effing jab. I turned down $9 million. I didn't want to get the jab. F the jab. F y'all for trying to make me get it. I don't know how Hollywood feels about me right now. Well, I imagine they're not too happy, beloved. That's what I'd imagine. So anyway, what do y'all have to say? They tried that with Prince's Purple Rain film. I bet they do. See, here's the thing. This is just, let me tell y'all something. It is a darn shame how they do Black people in film. That's why it's best to go independent when you're trying to do anything, whether it's doing music, you know, films or whatever. It's just best to do independent as far as I'm concerned, because these devils, honey, they just try to make all the money and give you a few scraps of whatever's left over. Pay attention. And this is just all so crazy because, you know, I was reading about Irene Cara. Now, you all know she passed, you know, about a week or so ago. And I talked about her on the live and, you know, told a story, you know, about how she had been blackballed and all of that because she sued her record label. But here's the thing. Her record label, here's how low down and dirty they are. And I do believe that they are the same people that Kanye has a problem with. But here's what they did. They not only weren't paying her, but when she sued them, they got so mad. First of all, they tied her up in court for almost a decade. And then they had to pay her like $1.5 million and plus royalties. But what they did prior to that was these low down dirty devils, they sent out letters to all these other big time record labels who would have signed her and threatened them that if they sign her, they're going to sue them. That's what they told them. They said they're going to sue them. And then they told them that she had a cocaine addiction and had gone to rehab and all this stuff. And just told all these lies and everything. And then also, it was something else they did. Oh, they filed an injunction so that she couldn't even perform her Oscar-winning songs. Because you all know she won an Oscar for that song, What a Feeling, from Flashdance. And then I think she also won one for, she won some type of award for the song Fame. But yes, they filed injunction so she couldn't even sing her own music. Okay? That's what they did. And one of them told her specifically that he was going to ruin and destroy her career. And that's absolutely what they did. That's absolutely what they did. I cannot work with devils. I just simply cannot. Lied on her like they did Dave Chappelle, not surprised. Yes, absolutely. Once they put it out, and then they started saying she was not only on drugs, but that she was a diva and she was difficult to work with. The same thing they did to Monique. The same thing. See, that's what they do to Black folk who stand up for themselves. Monique stood up for herself. Irene Cara stood up for herself. Ice Cube stands up for himself. So when you stand up for yourself, and you don't go with the flow. You see how Kanye is standing up for himself? This is what they do. That's why I said anybody, any black person that's sitting here trying to demonize and vilify Kanye for speaking the truth and standing up to the powers that shouldn't be, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because at the end of the day, when one of our people stands up, we should always stand up and support them so that more and more of our people will stand up. That's what we need to do. If we just let somebody go out there on a limb and fend for themselves, then the next person who may have stood up, they may not be so willing to do so, because they'll see that the backlash, they'll see that they stand to lose, their careers, their money. And then to top it off and add insult to injury, they'll see that the own people that they're trying to help won't even back them. That's what that does. Okay, that's what that does. All so crazy. But anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning back in once again. All right. Everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Same thing they did to Janet Hubert. Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love you, right, Black, the Prince of Paraphernalia. I sure do. Okay, so with that, I've been said, listen, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Don't forget to tune back in later on this evening at 6:30 for your daily vitamins. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, click the word all. If you don't like the Queen's commentary, well, just go ahead and unsubscribe. But before I go, let me say this. Do you all know, once in the chat, do you all know that Tyreek Nasheed Bussy Reek, do you all know that he filed for a restraining order for Brandon from the Pan-Africanism Strikes Back channel? How many of you knew that? One's in the chats. How many of you all knew that? Did y'all see Taharka's live last night? If y'all didn't, go back and watch it on the replay because it was good. But did you all know that this fool, and I'm going to tell you why he's a fool. Well, there's plenty of reasons. But here's the thing. Now, here's what I'm curious to know. Bussy Reek, if you're listening, and I know you are. Here's my question. Why would he file a restraining order against Brandon? Because he said when he went to Washington, D.C., he said that Brandon went to the museum and was harassing the tenants. Oh, you got tenants? You see, I find that interesting because he never told the people that he had tenants in that building. Taharka's the one that exposed that. Pay attention. But here's why that's so nonsensical. At the end of the day, he didn't file that restraining order because he was harassing no darn tenants. You know how I know that's a lie and how y'all should know it's a lie too? Because if he was harassing the tenants would have called the police on him. The tenants would have called the police. Imagine you sitting there at work, because y'all know they hold church in that building. And you know they have real estate offices in that building. So with that all being said, there's a whole real estate office there. So if he went in there asking them questions or doing something and they were bothered or felt harassed, they'd have called the police themselves. Why would they call him and get him to file a restraining order? They could have filed a restraining order. They're the ones that actually work in the building. They're the ones that have leases in the building until August of 2023. Make it all make sense. And here's another thing I want y'all to pay attention to, because let me tell y'all something. If these stupid Nasheedians don't realize this man is a whole liar and a fraud, I don't know what to tell them. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, do you all remember when he faked like somebody vandalized that museum? It wasn't vandalized. It was a sheet on the ground with spray paint on it. How's that vandalizing a museum? If you vandalize something, you spray paint that building. You break out the windows. You do damage to it. That's all I'm saying. There was no damage to the property, period. But here's the thing. He said that the same people who vandalized the building, it was the same Latino anti-Black hating organization that put up that banner about him, which he called a hate crime. Pay attention. So he said he knew who did it. A Latino organization that don't like Black folk. The same one who did the hate crime on him. That's what he said. Here's the question. Why didn't he file a restraining order on them? Because the guy that he was showed the video clip of, that Latino dude, that guy said he filed one on Bussy Reek. So how come Bussy Reek didn't file one on him? I saw one of his stupid Nasheedians talking about, oh, he's in court about a restraining order with them? Yeah, because they found one on him and some woman. But why didn't he found one on them? He said they went to the museum and vandalized it. That's what he said. So you mean to tell me, make it all make sense, Bussy Reek. You mean to tell me that the people that he said went to his museum and vandalized it, he didn't file a restraining order on them? Or did he? Has anybody heard that he filed a restraining order on them in case I missed it? Tia said, not the hidden tenants. If he didn't file a restraining order on them and he said they vandalized it, if he didn't call the police and file a report on them, why would he file one on Brandon for going up there asking questions? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You know what? He likely filed that restraining order on Brandon. So Brandon won't go back up there asking questions because Brandon likely went up there trying to find out some information about whether or not that building has actually been purchased or whatever. I don't know, but that's probably what it is. Bussy Reek got something to hide. And then he has been striking to Harker's channel. Pay attention. He's been striking to Harker's channel. I wouldn't care if he striked my channel because I got 7 channels. So good luck with that. I got 6 more. You take down 1. But at the end of the day, I find it also interesting. He's been striking people's channels. See, what he's trying to do, he's running scared. Because Marcus V. Thomas, that's his real name, according to Harker. At the end of the day, he is afraid because his cover's being blown as he speaks. And he's doing the same thing that Wig did. Y'all remember how I exposed Wig to the bone, to the core, right? To the smallest fraction of a particle. And Wig tried to silence the queen by trying to send me, having her attorney, send me a cease and desist, threatening a defamation lawsuit. That didn't bother me. I kept talking because I told no lies. I showed proof of everything that I said. I kept right on talking and I'm still talking. Where's that lawsuit, Wig? Oh, yeah, that's right. You weren't going to file one because you knew you were lying, not me. That's all I'm saying. But see, when somebody's been exposed with truth, they'll sit there and try to silence the people exposing them. See, people don't get mad about lies. Well, unless it's something nefarious, like that lie Bussy Reek told on to Harker. Some serious stuff like that. Oh, yeah, of course you're going to file something. I would. Now, if somebody filed something like that on me, I'm darn sure going to file a defamation, libel, and slander. Ask YouTube, because I filed one on them. But at the end of the day, why would you sit up there and be striking people's channels, trying to take down their channels, honey, and then talking about, and then he tried to, he stole Denzel's whole little thing from Training Day. He talked about, I'm putting cases on Beach Ace ninjas. I'm putting cases on everybody. Y'all remember that when Denzel said that in the movie Training Day? That's what he said on his live. I'm putting cases on all y'all ninjas. Bussy Reek, put your cases on ninjas because you're a whole informant from the sounds of it. He talking like somebody from the streets who's a whole snitch. Who says that? I'm putting cases on everybody. Oh, yeah. If you work with the feds, I'm sure that's easy to do. I'm sure that's easy to do. All right, now I don't care what. Now she didn't get mad because all they can do is get mad and make some little bull jive videos about the queen, honey. I don't care what none of them say about me, and y'all already know that. They are hilarious to me. All right. Anytime you walking around listening to a whole grifter, a whole fake fraud scammer who's telling you nothing but lies, honey, you must be a fool. And here's another thing I'm gonna say before I go. And it was brought to my attention that he also is begging his subscribers to go and buy stuff for the museum, saying that he'll reimburse them. And also said something about the white folk is not going to let him buy this, that, and the third for the museum, the artifacts and all that stuff. My question is, why would you even talk about a museum? Why would you even collect $1 million or $2+ million for a museum when you haven't already got all that stuff straight? If you're going to open a museum, you should already know where you're going to get your artifacts from, how you're going to obtain them, and what you're going to put in the museum should already be put down, and you should already have a whole plan. It's called a business plan. Fool. So anyway, that's all I'm saying. Y'all know shit is so stupid. That's why I give 0 F's about what they say about the queen, honey, because they wish they had my intelligence. They're all so stupid, honey. And they get mad because we call out their masters. Sit down somewhere, fools, because y'all fools and your masters are fools, okay? And all y'all going down for the count. Now, at the end of the day, keep following him right off the edge of that cliff because it ain't nothing but a case of the blind leading the blind. All right? All right, nothing but the blind leading the blind. That's all I'm saying. And here's another thing too. Why is it that all these people that he hangs with have all these federal convictions? Let's see. Wig, federal conviction. They say that guy, Elevation, a lie, and I don't even know him. I just know he came onto Harker's channel one time talking slick. But somebody told me that he got exposed in Twitter with receipts about some type of conviction with drugs and all this and that. But he always shouting this dude out. And then Sir Major, yeah, the albino guy, right? Now, he was arrested for fraud in 2020 or 2021. I remember because I did a story on it. He's always shouting him out too. How come the only people he hangs around is people that have fed cases? I'm just curious. I am so curious. I even heard Dr. Ma'at got drug charges. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. So I'm just saying, honey, all these people he hanging around with got federal cases and charges and drug charges and all that. Make it all make sense, Bussy Reek. See, many of these people might all be agents for all we know. So all I'm saying. Now, with that all being said, Jack the Deep said, make it make sense. Exactly. They cannot. So that's right. Aeon said birds of a feather. That's right. So with that all being said, everyone please like and share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell, click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr__A_Shakur. You can also follow me on TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, Twitter, DGoddess27. And always, also don't forget to go to the website, subscribe so that you're added to my email list. And always make sure you check to see if you're still subscribed, because y'all know how they be unsubscribing people left and right, okay? With that all being said, a coven of informers, says Joanna. Oh, Terry Hill said, thank you, Queen. You're welcome, beloved. Okay, so with that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. Real slick. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got